forget about her as a historical figure. You know, many of us know, her story in terms of her being part of the immigration of Washington High School. But I think many of us forget about she played a very important role in the March on Washington. She was the first woman to appear to speak there. We forget about that. Huge job, I don't celebrate it. But also her work as a activist, a literary activist, a journalist who made sure that our community was informed about what was going on around the world. She was very respected in that sense. And we'll continue that kind of examination of who she was as a journalist tonight. And I'm glad that the individuals who are here with me tonight agreed to be a part of this examination and celebration of Daisy Bates. On my far left is someone who is definitely, who can tell us a lot about Daisy Bates. Is Janis Kearney. She is a former journalist, author. I can't even use the word former journalist because she's still a journalist. She's also a writing instructor as well as a presidential biographer. She serves as the managing editor of the Historic Arkansas, the legendary Daisy Bates. She purchased the newspaper in 1988, and she went on to later work as a presidential diarist under President Bill Clinton. And many of you know that she's authored a number of books, 8 in fact. I think 2012 biography of Daisy Bates, Between the Rock and the Hard Places, one she is known for her first book, Cotton Guillotine, is also noted. She's also has done a tremendous amount of work on celebrating the life of Maya Angelou. So let's welcome Janis Kearney. Next to Janis is Dr. Lillie Fears, someone who I always enjoy having an opportunity to meet with. She's a professor of Multimedia Journalism at the Arkansas State University. She has been a member of the Multimedia Journalism, in fact, Arkansas State since 1990. She is a gender scholar and an author. Her most recent publication is entitled The Meaning of an Angry Black Woman in Print Media Coverage of Michelle Obama. So she may want to share some of the business if you want to hear a little about that. And she is, and that came out in the March 2013 issue of the Journal of Research of Women and Gender Studies. And she is known for teaching a variety of courses, including but not limited to media history and public opinion and propaganda. Dr. Lillie Fears. To my immediate left right here is a good friend of mine, La'Keisha Gray-Sewell. Let's give her a warm welcome to the Little Rock, Arkansas. She's a Chicago. As a matter of fact, I want to give her an extra special shout out. She's featured in this March issue of Ebony magazine as someone who is doing very successful. So we'll pick up the latest issue of Ebony magazine and this is the work that she's doing in Chicago with young girls. She does a lot of work around. She's a digital media producer and strategist by trade, and a girls advocate by life assignment. She is a certified overflow coach and founder of the program called the Girls Like Me Project. She's nationally recognized as an urban girls advocate and media literacy expert. She's also been honored for her work by several national media outlets, including the Steve Harvey Show, Morning Rise Radio, CBS, just to name a few of them. The Salvation Army in 2016 identified her as a community hero. She's a producer and host of Voices of Advocacy Radio, a podcast showcasing leading advocates, community service, and entrepreneurs. La'Keisha Gray-Sewell. So we're talking about heroes and or sheroes, I should say. But I want to ask my panelists before we get started. It is Black History Month. Starting with you, La'Keisha. Identify maybe one of your heroes in history.
One?
Yes. Give us a couple there.
All our ancestors paved the way, but more Ida B. Wells for me. Because she used her pen and her voice in the way that I feel most comfortable doing, using my voice and my pen to right the wrongs, to tell our stories, to self-identify our own crises, and to educate so that we can, when you pinch a nerve and you touch a nerve, you spark an awareness of people that causes them to react. Where in other ways they may have been asleep or just unconscious of things that are going on around them. You can take that message to your people, take it globally, take it wherever, and then call some action. I think that's so powerful. So Ida B. Wells would be one of the foremost of my huge heroes. And then I'll also say Mary McLeod Bethune would be close second.
Yes.
Actually, I was going to say Ida B. Wells Barnett also. I do a special section on her every time I teach media history. Just to add to what La'Keisha said, Ida B. was orphaned at an early age and had to raise her brothers and sisters. Parents died of, I believe it was yellow fever. She had to fake her age. She was a very petite lady, about 5'2", and she had to fake her age just so she could get a job teaching school in Memphis. She started her own paper. She was so powerful with her pen that she was run out of the South. Couldn't come back for 30 years.
Wow.
And an amazing lady. We talk a lot about Sister Rosa Parks and how she wouldn't give up her seat on the bus. Ida B. was one of the first that didn't give up the seat. When she was on the train, she, keep in mind, she's 5'2". She carried a pistol in her and it took 2 men to throw her off that train. Wow. She bit one of them on the hand. Yeah, she was not playing. Not only did she do that, this was in the 1800s, and I like to tell people she was born 100 years before me. 1862, I was born in 1962. Her little sister's name was Lillie. My name is Lillie, so that's my claim. But back then, she sued the railroad and won. But in the 1800s, who is going to let the child of a slave win against a big corporation? Her suit, she won $500. Her suit was overturned. And of course, she had to walk away. But she didn't let that get her down. She still fought against, she crusaded against lynching at the time. So, Ida B. for sure.
Yes. All right. My sheroes.
Of course, I'm going to have to say Daisy Bates. But I do know that Ida B. was certainly one of Daisy Bates' sheroes.
Yes, that's true.
One of the people that she looked up to, especially as a journalist, and especially because she was such a firebrand, as Daisy was. And what you didn't mention, I know you talk about probably, is the fact that she brought to light the number of lynchings that were taking place all over the country back then. But Daisy Bates definitely is my shero. I always tell the story about how I met Daisy when I was 16 years old. My family were sharecroppers down in southeast Arkansas, and we chopped cotton all summer. That's how we made our money for school. When I was 11th grade, my dad found out some kind of way that Daisy Bates needed a girl to work in her office during the summer, and he allowed me to actually go down and interview. I couldn't believe it because we chopped cotton every summer. But he took me down, and I interviewed with Daisy Bates. When I walked into the room, there was this little petite woman who was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And she looked at me, and she had this little smile on her face, and she said, yes. And I told her my dad brought me down to interview with her. She gave me a typing test, and I flunked it. And she told me to go back and take typing again. I didn't. I was so depressed I didn't. So I didn't see Daisy Bates again until 1987. And as most of you know, in 1984, she reopened her newspaper. And in 1987, someone sent me word that she needed a managing editor. I was working for state government at the time. And I went over and I reminded her that she didn't give me that job. And I was there to be hired. And she laughed and she gave me the job. So I went to work for her. And of course, most people know that she retired in 1988, and my husband and I purchased the newspaper. But Daisy Bates, not only because she impacted my life in a personal way, but I think she impacted the world in an amazing way. I think her fearlessness, her ability to be focused on something larger than her, larger than what most people could see. Those kinds of things, I believe, are what leaders have to be about. And in the time that she was a leader, it wasn't very normal for a woman to be a leader. So she had a lot of obstacles against her. So I feel, I know I'm talking too long, so I just feel as if she was someone who made women proud all over the world. I've done a lot of research and I've read a lot of letters, and women from all over the world have wrote her during that time and told her how proud they were of what she did.
But I'm going to stay on that point about Daisy. You and the relationship you have with Daisy based on the stay right there. And talk a little bit about Janis in terms of Daisy based her kind of maybe regimen or working regimen. I mean, her intensity maybe for the job she would do as a state person. You know, maybe her thinking about what was happening in the community and how the state press was going to address those issues.
And I have to tell you, when I went to work for Daisy Bates, it was in the 80s. So a lot of things had come to pass. And as a matter of fact, I think things were starting to go back into that circle. She had worked so hard for that integration. We had gotten integration. We were almost to a point where integration was not such a big deal with most of us. And that was very depressing for her. She saw a sliding back. She saw a lack of excitement, a lack of energy in the Black community, and she would talk about that. She understood that without a Black newspaper, that a lot of our community was just not going to be engaged in what we needed to be engaged in. And we know that's true because we know that's true. So she understood the importance of the newspaper, of what Arkansas State Press had done for the community. Her husband, she talked about him all the time. She gave him the credit that he was due. She understood that if it hadn't been for him, there would be no Arkansas State Press. That you don't want to say he allowed her to be out front, but he understood that she could be out front, and he knew what his place was. So the two of them, I always say they were a power couple before there was power couples, and they understood the strength of the other one. So yes, she understood the power of the newspaper, the power of the pen. She never fooled herself into thinking she was a great journalist, but she knew what stories needed to be in the newspapers, and she knew what the people needed to hear about. So I'm going to let somebody stop.
Dr. Fears, I know you've done a lot of work, research around Black media, history of Black media. Kind of put it in context if you can. Oh, sorry. Kind of put it in context the role of Daisy Bates from a national scene, in the Arkansas State Press, as opposed to other Black newspapers, media that was out there.
Okay, I'll take a shot at that.
Okay.
Janis probably can speak to some of this also. I think that with Mrs. Bates and her work, I was reviewing some video footage and doing a little bit of research before I came down. And I know that her work, she knew how to strategize and bring in national media. She knew how to bring in the TV stations. She held the Thanksgiving dinner at her house for the Little Rock Nine, and some scholars, critics said that she did it intentionally so that the news cameras would be there. And that's, if you look at this footage, you'll see that you just don't have a Thanksgiving dinner and media pops up at your house. that was strategic. We call that public relations today. Mrs. Bates was doing that back then. And I think someone mentioned earlier in one of the intros that she spoke at the March on Washington. I was just looking, as I said, I did some research. Actually, I hate nothing against the gentlemen back then, but they had not intended to let any of the women speak at the march. It was just at a last minute thing where someone else couldn't speak, and Mrs. Bates got to speak right behind Dr. Martin Luther King for only a little, it wasn't 2 minutes. So she spoke there. And also, I saw where, you know, of course, she was the mentor to the Little Rock Nine, to Mr. Ernest Green, the first graduate. The young men that sat in at the Woolworth counter in North Carolina, they credit what the kids in Little Rock were doing for giving them the courage to do what they did. Even the Honorable John Lewis says he was inspired by Mr. Ernest Green and what all they had to go through. Why? How were they inspired? They saw it on television. How did it get on television? Mrs. Dates knew the power of the press. She brought in the media, and it was, I believe it was, his last name is Chancellor. They have footage of him speaking. John Chancellor, a great journalist, white man. He interviewed Miss Bates. She knew all of them. And she would be on the plane. She traveled with the students. They traveled around. All of that was strategic. So she knew how to work the press. I mean, we have a degree program in that. That's one of my students. She knows we have a public relations emphasis, and if I were teaching the course, I would definitely talk about how she strategized. But the work that she did to bring Mr. Green to where he is, and for him to influence John Lewis, the young men that sat in and boycotted Woolworth's Little Rock. It was a trickle effect. Why did they do all that? Because Mrs. Bates was their mentor. She helped, what she did, she brought it to the national forefront. So that's kind of what I see going on, not having just done as much research as Janis has done. And by the way, I've got to go on record to say that I met Mrs. Bates because when Janis was the managing editor, I went by one afternoon and worked one day to help Janis. So I actually met Mrs. Bates. By then, of course, she had her stroke, and Janis let me come by and play journalist for a day. So, I just wanted to go on record to let you all know that I met her too. So yeah, that's what I think. I think she was just so strategic in what she did. The press, all of that TV coverage, that was intentional. She had meetings at the house that I planned to go visit. All of that, they strategized. They met at that house, and even after they threw rocks and broke the windows, she didn't move out of her house. They kept meeting there. So that's how I see her influencing everybody, being strategic, knowing what to drop into the media and how to work that.
Excellent, excellent.
La'Keisha, you are currently doing work with young people in Chicago and the country. So Lillie and Janis both just talking about Mrs. Bates in terms of Mrs. Bates' wisdom around media literacy. How important do you think it is for young people to understand media and what they're seeing?
Well, and I won't put it on proximity, but I will say Chicago the Center being the foremost standard of media and press is what it could do for us to move us from place to place, to move us through great migration, to move us beyond lynching and things that were happening in the South, to get us to the North where we thought it would be better, right? And media literacy. So Ida B. Wells said, this is my favorite quote from her. She said, the people must know before they can act, and there is no educator to compare with the press. The press is so powerful. There are messages that are being targeted to our young people and targeted to us in general as a population that has a design behind it. There's a design intention behind it of what those purveyors of media want us to, how they want us to see ourselves, how they want us to react to the things that are going on around us, the energy that they want us to have, the power that they want us to feel or not feel, right? And I believe beyond just media in terms of journalism, but the media that I teach people is that journalism is one form of media, but there are various platforms of media, right? There's various channels. And so that they need to understand who's in charge of each of these channels that they are consuming, right? And not see themselves as only consumers, but see themselves as producers, one, but also to be able to break down what the messages are that are being delivered to them, who is sending these messages to them, and what is their motive behind doing so. what's the profit? What's the bottom line? Is there a profit attached to media that's driven? So much of media today is not just telling a story. It's a story that's bought and paid for before it even reaches us. There's a contingency that's invested in getting a specific story to us. So much so that we're distracted from the real news, the real press that we should have. And so for me, is making sure that young people understand that basis, that there are people who are behind the strings, I guess you could say, of media, and understanding what their intention is for it. And the power that they have on the other side of that to create or narrate their own stories.
Both Lillie and Janis, to Keisha's point, if you look at the media out here today, how it's spreading news, fake news, whatever you want to call it. To speak to Janis, if we will, because you worked in the White House and President Clinton, you were around, I'm quite sure, press secretary on a number of occasions. Talk a little bit about how that speaks to our people, and what would Ms. Bates think today if she saw some of that foolishness?
You don't even want to hear what she said. You know what you know to say. Alternative facts or fake news or whatever we want to call it. I guess I just think it's so dangerous because if we're not educated, if we don't read, if we don't look at the right kinds of news, we're gullible to alternative facts and fake news. And I think the people who are propagating it know that a lot of us are not as educated as we should be. So in a way, it is almost another form of consumerism. We're consuming things that people make up and living in a certain way based on that. So I think we're really in a dangerous time right now, even more important than ever before. Education is important. I was thinking about what she would say, Daisy would say today with all the school closings and the problems that we're having with education. I think she would cry. I think she would be very, very disappointed because by now we should be in a different place as a community and as a race as well. So we're still at a point, unfortunately, that alternative facts and fake news can really harm us because we're not at that educated level that we can tell the difference and we can, separate the bad from the good. So it's a dangerous point, I think, for our community.
I think what strikes me is that what comes to mind is the strength of the internet and the downfall of the internet. I guess I feel a little hopeful because with the internet, we have the opportunity to get our voices out there if we look for them. Yes, there's going to be fake news, and some of us will be taken advantage of, but I know also that there are a lot of people out there, you might not call them journalists, but they are, and you probably can see this, are getting a message out there. Might be one message. For example, the young men that we've been seeing basically die on Facebook Live because they were shot. That's a form of journalism. When you turn that camera on to Facebook Live and the man is sitting there dying and the guy's just holding a gun, that is journalism. It's citizen journalism. Without the internet, we wouldn't get that message. Yes, there's fake news, but there's real news. Now we have young adults getting back out on the forefront saying, our lives matter. Black lives matter. Clean water matters in Flint, Michigan, even though it's still, I don't know what's taking so long. All of that matters, and were it not for the internet and these alternative voices, even though they may be singular voices, we wouldn't hear those. So the fake news, Yeah, I see that, but I also see folks showing me stuff I would not see were it not for the power of the internet and social media. So I'm a little hopeful. I know the fake stuff is out there, but there are people still saying, hey, I'm showing you this, I'm putting you on, I'm blasting you. I mean, I was in San Francisco about 8 months ago in my hotel, and people taking out cameras is so popular. There was some kid over there, they were arguing, and the cops were over there trying to get this young man to do it, and everybody just started taking out the camera. I was like, wait a minute now, y'all gonna put that on Facebook too? You gotta watch what you're doing these days. People will take out a camera in a minute, whether it's right or not. So fake news, yeah, but people are also getting their message out there too. So
I think danger is a good word for it, but I also think it's like an alert, right? It's a conscious raising. Because I think there's so much of an extreme from one end, a polar extreme from one end, and then you have citizen journalism. You know, I take it back to our generation, hip hop, right? When Harry Allen was called the Black CNN, right? The hip hop CNN. So much of what we shut, different generations shut off different modes of communication, but their music and the drum, right? Let's just use the drum. Music has always been like one of the first pioneers for messaging, right? So we use the drums in one way to communicate. You use music lyrics, you use spirituals as a way to communicate, a meaning to communicate information. Same thing. And so I think right now, young people, even with the Flint, Most Def song about New World Water, right? These things are talking about water crises, but not just in Flint. Water crises all over the globe, right? And how, let's just say, for instance, a child in Chicago doesn't even understand the water crises in Detroit and Flint, or doesn't understand that it's not just Flint or America, but it's in other parts of the country where people who look like them are also there, people in the same conditions as they are. So music, I think, to me, is what gives me hope. This generation is beginning to use that as a tool again. And yes, you have to sift through a lot of minutia to get to the content and the substance. But I'm hopeful that podcasts any and everybody can get a podcast. I'm hopeful for voices like Jamila Lamal, who was just the editor for the digital editor for Ebony magazine. I'm hopeful for Ta-Nehisi Coates, who is pushing back, writing in the Atlantic, and writing all these great books and going on these speaking circuits. So while I think that there is a consciousness raising, that there is a high alarm for us to be concerned with these untruths and these alternative facts, I'm also very hopeful that we are taking back our power to know we can tell our own stories.